on my Facebook. Okay, we are now live on Facebook. Yay!
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. We just get everything. I like how those people who go live and they're like, let's everybody get up a second to come on in, come on in,
Yeah, come on into the church house, have a seat.
come on in to the church. Hilarious.
Oh, and I see it on our live, so cool.
Okay.
When we're on the page, that's cool.
On my page, we're on the page. Okay, so it is showing. Wow, it is the captions for me that's
It's
coming across
the
the live.
captions
Yeah,
for me.
I'm glad that we have the captions. But so we're gonna go ahead, give it a few minutes. I'm going to share this. All right, all right. Alrighty. Okay, so I got that shared to my page.
All right, I am sharing too, because I guess you can't tag anyone. And you can still hear me fine, and I can hear you fine.
Yeah, we're all
Yep.
ready, all good.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we got some viewers. Okay, on my page. All right, let's. Okay, cool. All right, I can dig it. Whoever the person that said they needed the caption, they are getting the captions right now. Okay,
Yes, they are.
they are across that screen. All right, but so let's
Exactly.
just hop into this. Let's get into it. Um, Welcome everybody who's watching as of right now, and those of you who are going to tune in later. This is officially our first episode. This is our first day launching Josh and Shay and Josh podcast. Like, I'm super excited and so happy for you guys to tune in
Very
and just
excited.
listen to us. So, of course, I'm Shay, Marche, but
And I
whatever
am
you want to call me,
Josh.
Marche, Shay. And right here we got
Josh, what's up, everybody?
Josh. All right, Josh is a little nervous tonight, guys, so we have to give
Oh
him
no.
all the love. Shower him with all the love. He got this. And so yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Just to give you a little bit of backstory how we arrived to today. Um, you know, the simple story is, I think it all started with the court cases that was going on the last couple of months, or just everything in the news. And I think it was like the Derek Chauvin case, and then we had the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And so I was just like so tuned in at work and always like commentating on it and just all the things, or even the January 6th committee hearings. It was just,
Yeah.
it still is a lot going on. And so, um, you know, Josh would comment on my post and we'll get to talking about it. And, um, and then it turned into like, like we need to be talking about this more. Even people was like, Mark, telling me like I want to know more, or what I'm saying, like hit my, like, especially my cousin Sion, she was like, oh, update me about like what's going on and stuff like that. And I was just like, man,
You
like
know
I
what,
really want to
Shay?
do this.
I was gonna
What?
ask. I think we're frozen. I'm not sure. Maybe we're good, but I wanted to chime
I
in. Are you on your live as well?
It is not frozen on my end.
Okay, so it's mine. All right, all right.
It's okay. Be all right. Catch up. And so yeah, we were just going back and forth. And I don't know if it was me or you who was like, we should create a
Yeah,
podcast.
I think commented on one of your posts, and I think you were talking about, I believe it was the Derek Chauvin case or one of the cases, like you said, and I was just like, yeah, we should do this. And then, long way back, we're from middle school, so we went to Paul
Yes.
Robeson Middle School. Robeson,
Shout out to Paul Robeson.
uh, really, I'm no lie,
The best middle
best
school.
middle school ever, best principal, best just people. But we really good friends back then with a bunch of us. So for us to reconnect at this point later in life, and we really are still interested in a lot of the same things when it comes to politics and things like that. So it's just great to be connected in this way.
Yeah, so I'm excited that we like totally took the baton and ran with it and was like, okay, if we're gonna do this, let's do this. Let's create a page, let's create a show, let's get all these things together. So that's what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks, is like getting it all together and really trying to you know, shape this into something that we can really do full time. Saying we trying to go, be syndicated, nationally known. Okay, I'm just going to speak that out there into the universe. Okay, like this is what we do. But so yeah, we're, like he said, we're both interested in politics and just pop culture and just like all that, all that, everything in between. And so that's what you should expect from us, is just like our perspectives and our thoughts and you know opinion when it comes to a lot of the hot topics that are in the news right now. And there is a lot. And then also just us being Black creatives and wanting using our voices to share our news as Black people, and just putting something out there that's positive, that's informative, that that's going to provoke people to think for themselves, to get in tuned, and really get a different perspective than what you get from, or that different type of energy that you'll get from like a CNN or a Fox News. Like,
Yeah,
this is all about us keeping it real and doing our thing. So I'm excited to be a part of this and just see where it all goes. So like,
I agree.
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get into this because there's, like I said, a lot going on right now, especially today.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got the verdict. If Josh, if you want to kind of like give us a little synopsis and reminder of her trial.
Yeah, so everyone talking about the Kim Potter trial. So uh, back on April 11th of this year, Officer Kim Potter and I believe two others, or one other person she was actually training, stopped a vehicle in Minnesota. During, really, which is crazy, the same time that the Derek Chauvin trial was actually in process, the police officer that killed George Floyd. Uh, I believe they wanted to pull over Dante Wright for expired
Right.
registration, and then he was hanging a air
Air
freshener
freshener.
from the rearview mirror, which is illegal in Minnesota, which really baffles me. And in most
Right.
cases,
That would be even the thing to stop
yeah,
somebody over. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
it was, and I think it came out during the court proceedings that it was the initial air freshener hanging
yeah.
from the mirror, and then they noticed the expired tags.
Right.
So it's just like crazy. But go
Very
ahead.
crazy, very crazy. And so, they stopped Dante Wright and didn't know about anything about I guess, misdemeanor warrant that he had, which we could talk about that as well, because I don't want you to get a misconception about Dante Wright and, what this misdemeanor warrant was for. But basically, the warrant that he had out was because he carried a gun in a public place without a permit. And, this country is big on a Second Amendment. So the fact that, that's, he got a warrant for that, but okay. And I believe there was some other protection order thing that he had.
Yeah.
But they came after the fact. So they didn't know about these things until they ran his name. And they pulled him over. And I believe once they announced that he was going to be arrested, there was a struggle to where he tried to, get in the car and drive away. And Officer Potter said, "Taser, taser, taser." The other two officers, kind of stepped back from the scene, and she shot Dante, which is crazy, though, right, Shay? That you would
Yeah. Yeah, that,
think
and of
your
course
gun
everybody,
or your taser
if
to
you
do
were
it.
like me and Josh, like when that story first came out, and just even the headline, she thought she had her taser, and of course she had her gun, and and that was the biggest question throughout this whole trial, was like, how do you mistake your gun, I mean your taser, for a gun, or vice versa, maybe
Yeah,
saying that the wrong way. And that definitely came out in this trial. I did pretty much listen to all, I probably missed like one day of hearing a testimony. It didn't take long, but I have to say it, the prosecutors in this case, they were the same prosecutors for the Derek Chauvin case. If you guys remember, the team who they prosecuted Derek Chauvin, these were the same two in Kim Potter's trial. And I have to say, they did a really good job of laying down the facts of this case, and just really hitting home, really her 26 years of experience. The fact that every year she had to sign off on, trainings and
yeah,
just your taser. And, and there's a lot of things that I learned during this case about just, how police officers have to, when their taser is on their dominant side, they carry it
yeah.
on their dominant side of their hand. Hey, Makaisha, hello, hello. Um, and so even learning that, that she didn't even realize it was pulling from her non uh dominant side, that was just crazy to me. And so, but I think what really drove home in this case is that, her 26 years of experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and I think everybody knew, even the prosecutor, she was like, yes, was an accident, but that doesn't mean accidents aren't criminal. This was definitely negligence. She
Yeah.
was very negligent. And you have to be accountable for that. Like, what is it? I may have to hit join and
Yeah.
tune in. There you go. Yes. But she was
Appreciate
very
you.
negligent.
Yeah.
And so, like, she had to be held accountable for that. And I do, a part of, like, again, a part of me feels sorry for her, but then the kind of part of me, also have to step back and be like, but damn girl, like 26 years,
26
like,
years.
and 20, and then even another big thing about this case was just the weight difference of each one, the
Yeah.
difference between the weight of the taser and then the weight, and and I don't know what a taser, a police officer issued taser feels like, but even today I'm just like holding, like just a can of soup, and then a bag of rice, and I'm like, okay, these both feel off to me.
Yeah.
And I can't put myself in her shoes, in the sense of, if things are that chaotic, but this is exactly what police are trained for. Like, and that
Yeah.
was one of the things that the prosecutor brought up, was that, you guys practice these type of scenarios, like, and what to do in these situations. And you just seen Cheyenne go across the screen, but so, again, I'm a civilian, you're the cop, with 26 years of experience. And then also just the color of the taser is this big bright ass yellow taser,
Yeah.
and then your Glock, and I'm just like,
Not to add that it actually makes noises and has lights too. So
yes.
it's very high tech for you to miss cue a gun for a taser, which is just crazy.
Right. And I think the prosecutor brought that up, is like, even with her taser, you have to click something, like click something up and out, I think she said,
Yeah.
versus the Glock. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, yeah, that whole scenario. And of course, if you guys don't know, they did find her guilty on both charges. She was charged with first degree manslaughter, and I believe it was
That's
second degree manslaughter. Yeah, so which carries a max of 25 years for both.
yeah,
I don't think they're going to sentence her to max. I don't think she's going to get all that. I don't think she's going to get that many years. I think they are going to be a little lenient because I do think that I don't think she woke up that day and was like, I'm wrong weapon.
yeah,
Um, I don't think that at all. I think she was very negligent, and she has to be accountable for that. So at best, I can see them probably being like, okay, maybe 3 to 5 years in jail. I don't know if that. We all know how our justice system works. They may
yeah,
just tell her like, have sympathy and be like, oh, she's gonna do a year. Who knows? I mean, one thing I do know is she's probably not going to be able to be a police officer again.
yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, and even seeing a lot of the people's opinions, because like I said, I would listen to this on my breaks at work, and just reading the comments in these lives is just how
Crazy.
so many people feel like he brought this death upon himself. That was actually the defense's
Yep.
defense for the most part, is that Dante Wright caused his own death.
Yeah.
And it was so egregious to think, because that we would even say that it goes into that narrative, well, if you would have just complied.
Yeah.
If I hear that one more time, if white,
So tired.
if I don't know what it is with some white Americans who feel like, "Oh, you just need to comply and none of these bad things would happen."
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, yeah, did he jump back in the car? Yeah. Was, even the other police officers on the scene said they're not fair for their safety. They didn't think that he was a threat. They don't think that, that she needed to even brandish a weapon at all. Um, but that still is not, again, it's still at the end of the day, you thought you was pulling out your taser and you didn't. You pulled out your gun, and you just cannot just walk away from
No,
that.
no, you
Like,
can't.
you just can't. Just
You
like,
can't. Then
my bad.
to piggyback off of that, I mean,
It
you
was an
bring up
accident.
very good point,
I'm
Shay.
gonna go home.
You very good point.
No, that's not what's about to happen
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. No, you can bring up very good points, and I don't know. It's a pretty tough environment for Black people in America when we have to um, find some type of middle ground when it comes to our lives versus just being able to, maybe go to jail, be arrested, but for it to escalate into excessive force always in these situations.
Exactly.
There were three police officers there, and this was a young 20-year-old skinny guy who didn't really pose that much of a threat. But Shay, you and I talked about this. There's something subconsciously in people, we love all people, but there's some subconsciously in some Americans, we'll just say that, that they see people of color as a threat, and subconsciously you make decisions that you're unaware of, right? So you may have thought very well that you were pulling your taser, but subconsciously your inner devil, inner demon, inner person that felt threatened, felt that you needed to pull a gun. Because you're right. How do you make a mistake like this after 26 years on the force, and you were a field officer trainer, and you were training someone in this particular moment? And when all of those years of experience finally came to head, you did not put together none of those years and actually do anything that you were trained to do. So, shame on you, Officer Potter, or previous Officer Potter.
Right.
You don't get to walk away from this. You are going to go to jail, and very right. So you said it. We don't think that it was malice per se. Maybe her, outer self didn't mean it in malice, but ultimately you made a decision that caused the death of a 20-year-old young man who didn't get to go home to his family, and whose table tomorrow or Christmas is going to be one seat less than it was a year
Right.
prior.
Yeah. I mean, he was a father, his son,
Yeah,
to be a son of someone that, that's what happened to your father, and growing up later in life, learning what happened.
yeah,
That's definitely going to probably be hard for him. And so I just hoping that, it seems like that little boy has a really good family around him, that as
yeah,
he gets older, that, that would be a good support system for him. But another thing that came out about in this trial that I think we also talked before, Josh, when she took the stand,
oh yeah,
and how we just automatically knew like she was going to cry. Like I just knew that she was going to cry.
yeah,
And there has always been this history of when it comes to the quote unquote white woman tears, and how, when white women are crying, people believe them. There was even a whole TikTok challenge. Oh, I want to say earlier this year, of just like white women crying and looking very believable, and then just like snapping out of it, like, see how easy it is. Like, and I'm just like, wow, and then just even, being in these lives and being in these comments of how, all the black people were just kind of like, here's these white woman tears, and how so many times white women tears are always believed. You know what I'm saying? A white woman come crying saying this is what happened. It
oh,
seems like society
Emmett Till,
agrees with her.
Emmett
Emmett
Till,
Till, like,
yeah,
that's a huge one, right?
yeah.
And so, seeing a lot of people's comments like, her white tears did not work for her this time. And I don't even, to me, in my personal opinion, they look very forced
Oh,
uh
absolutely, yeah,
tears. But do I think she feel bad? I think she feels bad because she doesn't want to go to jail. I think this is the
absolutely,
first
yeah,
time she's ever had an incident with her happen in her quote career. And this is the first time she's ever shot and killed anybody. This isn't the first time that she drew her taser, though. We did learn that in the trial too.
no,
There was two other
yeah,
instances where she did draw her taser, but she did not shoot her taser. And just hearing those cases seemed like there was a little more physical,
a
a
little bit more violent, yeah,
little more violent than Dante's Wright situation. And the prosecutor did make it a point to say, those situations, you did not shoot your taser.
yeah,
And I'm like, why is
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Your whole partner getting jumped on, and you like got the taser out, and you like, I'm not going to shoot.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But
Ultimately, what, first degree, second degree manslaughter, like you said, 10 years max for the second degree, and 15 max for the first degree, total 25. Like you said, what is she going to get? We'll see.
we'll
I think,
see.
to be fair, what do you think? I mean, 7 years, 8 years is probably, and she'll probably get out a little bit
Right.
before
What
that
do you
age will
guys
be
think? I see some of
happening.
you guys are in the comments. What do you guys think that, how many years do you think is fair? Like, what is a fair number? You know what I'm saying?
A
Like,
life, a life. What's fair
for
for
a
a life,
life,
right?
like you can't even put a number on a life. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many, like you said, there's so many different components that go into this. I think they did charge her for the right thing for manslaughter.
Yeah,
Manslaughter.
I agree.
Um, I just don't know what those years look like. I don't. I'm kind of happy that I don't have to make that decision. So I guess
Me
we'll
too.
see in the upcoming weeks. I also, we're probably gonna end on this and move to the next topic. I always find it very interesting listening to how some, when they were about her either getting not sentenced, but being released or getting
Oh yeah,
taken straight in, and just even listening to the defense's reasoning on
yeah,
why she should be out.
yeah,
And it's always so interesting to me, like, oh, they said she was a devout Catholic, and it's Christmas and all these things, and it's just always, it just really triggered me in the sense of how we have a judicial system and we have, defense attorneys, even judges who in some cases who was like have taken sympathy for people who have done some really fucked up shit,
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm going to take it easy on you. Like jail, like, even like jail's going to be a little hard for you. So we're just going to go ahead and give you probation, or, like because it's Christmas, we're going to, have you go home, spend time with your family. And then I'm so glad the judge in this case was like, no.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take her in. You will not be spending Christmas with your family. Like, just because it's Christmas doesn't mean that you're gonna be able to be like, yeah, let me go home.
It makes
No.
sense. So, I mean, God rest Deontay Wright and his family, and good luck, Kim, because you're going to jail. So
Right.
anyway, what are we moving on next to, Shay? Jussie, or what are we doing?
Juicy Smoothie.
Oh, Juicy. Ah,
My
here we
boy
go.
Juicy.
He knew damn well that he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing when he was doing it.
Ooh,
That's what's going on with
I
Juicy.
tell you one thing. Ever since that Dave Chappelle stand up, I can't even call this man Jesse anymore. He is like has been Juicy since then.
Yep, me too.
Juicy's ass.
Crazy.
I was really looking forward to his trial, because I'm like, every black person that night knew this fool was making this story up. Like, I don't think I was living in Chicago then when this happened. I
Yeah.
think I think me and David definitely was dating when this happened, and I was just like, and I think me and him both were kind of like, what the hell? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You jogging at, how was it, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you
Yeah.
jogging the subway?
Yeah. I mean, and if they don't know, the key points of this case, folks, is that, on January 29, 2019, as Shay said in Chicago, Jesse said he was attacked by two men who were yelling racist and homophobic slurs. He said the two men put a noose around his neck. Then on February 19th, the two men brothers confessed to an elaborate plot to further Jesse's acting career, because the brother wasn't getting paid, I guess, what he felt like
I
he
think
needed to be
Josh
paid.
froze up.
And then Jesse was indicted on 16 felony counts of disorderly conduct on March 19th. And then all of a sudden on March 26th, the charges were dropped. So, outside of the March 26th one, it looks like June 19th, the judge approved a special prosecutor to investigate the handling of the case, because back in February 19th, March 26th, they dropped the charges, just were dropped all of a sudden. And I think some folks started rattling some cages.
Yeah.
And so they dropped the charges, and then he went ahead and started being investigated for the way that the prosecutor handled that case.
Yes, and not even just the prosecutor. It was also, I remember, even David was telling me, just the police chief at the time. I believe he was a black man, and just the handling of the case, and he ended up resigning because of his own stuff, which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But it was just a lot going on in Chicago with him and that trial, and just like, it was so much time and resources went into this, only for it to come out that, dude was lying.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy,
straight lying. Bizarre things about this trial is what came out is that there is video of him practicing, him getting
my Lord.
Juicy. Look here, Juicy. And people want to say, because he was, I don't know if it was like drugs or alcohol or anything like that, like that played a role into this. And I don't know if he was just trying to just kind of, get his name back in the news or whatever the case may be. but Juicy really jacked himself up with this. He did get found guilty.
Yeah.
I'm really curious on how they're going to sentence him. Just listening to
Yeah.
some people just in the news talk about it, that he may not even serve any jail time.
Yeah.
He may get probation and a huge ass hefty fine.
Yeah.
But how embarrassing. Like,
Embarrassing. Yeah.
how
Very much so.
embarrassing
Yeah.
is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then what was so jacked up, and I remember this, just so many, especially the Black community, just kind of like, this is jacked up. Like,
Right.
although your story don't make sense, we all sit here thinking like, how
We
the
got
hell
your
are you
back.
going to get Subway at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? We got your back. Like, hold up,
Yeah.
you ain't about to put a noose around this brother's neck and call
White
him,
people had his
this
back. Black people
white
had his
people
back.
had his
Everybody
back.
had his back.
And then it started to come out like, you lying?
Yeah. And Shay, I mean,
How?
this is a particular subject to me that really kind of boils my blood. Is just because I'm a gay male, gay African American, and so the fact that we had just, I mean, he was being I'm gonna say being just he was doing well. I mean, Empire was doing well. I mean, how many seasons did they get renewed? I mean, he was doing well.
Right.
He was singing his butt off. He was acting. He was doing good. But then you get greedy, and it's always that pursuit of even more than what we have, being content.
Right.
Because Justin, he was getting paid, $125,000 at the highest per episode. All you had to do, my brother, is keep on pushing, and eventually you would have landed a bigger role and probably had a Broadway play. But now you have screwed yourself out of the situation, and you want to talk about
Hugely.
embarrassment is that you faked a racially issue in the type of environment that we have right now in this country, on top of putting the gay rights and the Black community kind of together, when it really is already so much friction in that community, and you lied
Right.
until you used something that's really dear to Black people right now. I mean, really since the beginning of time, but I mean, we're really dealing with a lot right now, the environment, and you use that to try to further your career. I hope you get the maximum out, which the maximum is 3 years, but he won't. Like you said, he'll probably get probation. So,
right, which is so crazy. I think in this case, I totally agree. I think he does need to get the max, because there was a lot of time, resources that went in that went into this, trying to find said, people who did this egregious act to you, and then you want to use something that's such a triggering issue right now, and I feel like he just kind of like further moved the needle away from white people always are already like, oh, why everything got to be about race, and then you have this story to come out, and then they like see what he's saying,
it's all a game.
I'm just like, Juicy. This ain't it.
That's what you need to
sit
do.
your ass down and do these. I do hope they give him 3 years on this. I really do. And I kind of feel like Chicago's gonna make it. The Chicago's pissed.
Yeah.
Like the police department, the prosecution's office, they are just pissed. They like
the mayor, everyone is
the mayor, everybody. It's just like, you wasted our time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We really out here thinking that somebody was out here just, and then and that was the part that, kind of jacked me up on, is that they put a noose around his neck. Like,
of all things, the noose.
Of all things, and wearing it, like, and they wearing the Trump hat at 3 o'clock in the damn morning. Oh God, it's.
Well, we should have known. We should have known.
We should have known. But like you said, we're gonna support our people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're done with you, Juicy. Go ahead and
support our people. But hey, Juicy, you're gonna have to get what's coming to you, and we'll see what happens with you here in the long run, and see how they decide to handle your ass.
Yeah, we'll see.
He may be in there with R. Kelly. We never know.
Oh no, not they gonna create a group here. My goodness. Now, who's in a closet? I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, he gonna be up in there with R. Kelly. He's still up in there.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be like, we got R. Kelly, now we got Juicy. Like who's
They gonna
next?
release a code as they're gonna release a code as like Christmas special or something. Watch, I promise you. My goodness. Oh,
Oh, all
anyway,
right. What we got up next?
what are we talking about next, Shay? What you think?
Okay, so of course, on a more serious note, Juice,
Yeah,
even though Juicy's case was serious, it makes me laugh because it's
yeah,
like so fucking ridiculous. But on a more serious note, it's just one of the other things that's been kind of going on right now. If you guys have really not been paying attention, and you really should be paying attention, is just the voting rights that's happening
yeah,
right now. Just
yeah,
how these states are really and actively trying to do voter suppression.
yeah,
Um, and one of the things that we hear so much in the Black community is that our vote doesn't matter, our vote doesn't count when it does.
matters big
We
time.
saw that this year, we saw that during the election, especially in Georgia, when they seen the most highest turnout in African American when it came them coming out and voting and in large numbers, and that's what actually swung the election. In Georgia was one of those states where it is a red state and it turned blue.
Yeah,
I forget if it was the first, but it was the first time it turned blue,
yeah.
and
It's been a long time at least.
because of that they immediately started putting in legislation against, um, about just, I think it was like,
Trying to limit
closing down
voting.
polling.
Yeah,
Yeah, trying to oppress voters, suppress voters by, closing down polling stations, especially in those rural areas for Black people
yeah,
who live in those rural areas. And they go to a polling station and now they have to find a way, like who they may not have a car. And so how they're going to get to the next town over that's probably like maybe 40, 50 miles away. And then they're like, how I'm gonna get there. And
yeah,
luckily, during that time, there was Ubers and Lyfts offering free rides for people to go and vote. They was picking them up for free. And if that doesn't just give you uh, a look into how the effort they would go to suppress a vote just to get their agenda through,
yeah,
is letting you know that your voice and your vote does matter.
yeah,
Um, in elections. It do. And also knowing that, me and Josh were talking about this earlier, is that, you know, our taxes that come out of our paychecks goes to pay those people up in Washington. And we need to realize that they work for us and that we don't work for them. They work for us. And we have to do our due diligence when it comes to voting. And when you have that person in your community who may look like you or share your values, or even someone who's just want to be fair,
yeah,
because I'm a registered independent. There's sometimes I may see a Republican who I may agree with them on certain things, and there's some Democrats that I may agree with certain things. But I just want there to be fairness.
yeah,
And if you have a person within your city, your state, who really just wants it to be fair for all people, and that's really going to advocate for the things that you may be, passionate about. And even if you're not passionate about it, but you're like, you know what, that's fair,
yeah,
then we need to do our due diligence and support and vote. And those are the people that can help, you know, overturn some of these things that we're seeing. Because I'm glad I don't live in Georgia, because they are working hard.
yeah.
And states like Georgia, the southern states, and other states who just feel like, you know, these other states that Trump lost or whatever like that, now they're trying to, I think Texas is another one, are
No, I
really
mean
trying to,
19 states, Shay. Like there's states
yeah,
everywhere. This isn't just going on in a couple of states,
yeah,
or this is really across the United States. And the truth is, guys, and this is something that we've been following really pretty closely, is that there was basically zero voter fraud in the 2020 election. There were some inconsistencies and things like that across some states, but there were very little cases. And then the cases that they overturned, most of them were Republicans trying to vote extra for Trump. And I don't. And me and Shay talked about this too. She just said that she registered as an independent. I'm a registered Democrat, but I can swing any way. Versus depending on the character of a person and what I believe that they actually bring to the table. And so I always believed in being a equal split of the party. But for one party now, the Republican Party, it just seems like we're fighting against them of really trying to suppress our votes. And me and Shay talked about this as well, is that
Yeah.
our ancestors, people like Martin Luther King Jr., just all of the people that we've always learned about in history have fought so hard for our voting rights. The things in this country have changed, not always for the better, but things have progressed because of people like us voting in these elections, and um, you know, uh, programs and things like that are implemented in our communities to better our everyone, the status quo. And people, like you said, people are saying that voting really doesn't matter, but people that got food stamps, or the extra food stamps that were here recently, or the child tax credit that unfortunately is going to end this month, or did end this month because they're not going to renew that in January, or all of these different programs that people probably getting more money in Pell Grants that they did previous administration. So these things are democratic, more social programs that are more backed up by the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party that don't really stand behind entitlements. And if they do embrace entitlements from the Democratic Party, they want means tests. And they say, oh, Joe Manchin the other day said he didn't want the law for child tax credit to be implemented in West Virginia because then his constituents would go buy drugs with it or hunt with it, which is sad. It's just sad.
Oh my God.
It's just sad.
It is so sad, but it's all, and we talk about this too, and it's so scary.
Very, yeah.
It's very scary to see the state of our democracy right
Yeah.
now, and I feel like there's so much stuff going on. It's kind of hard to really get a feel for all of it.
Yeah.
But when you have a moment to step back and really understand where we're at right now in the country, it is very scary. It's very dangerous, and just and there's more, and also it's just more access too because of social media
Yeah.
and how things have evolved over. Even when we would say in middle school, you know just how we was able to find out information and things like that, and we didn't have a Facebook or Instagram
Word
back
of mouth.
then. We wasn't on the we was on the internet, but we was like on
Oh,
MySpace and Black
yeah.
Planet
Yeah.
and yeah, Yahoo chats and all that.
Yeah. We have
Or on
three-way
that thing,
calls and two-way
three-way
and things
calls
like that.
on the chat line, knowing we ain't supposed to be on there.
Yeah.
uh but just even to see where we're at right now and how dangerous it is and just how it's so in our face,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and how it's especially from the Republican Party right now. It's and a lot of people like to call it the Trump party, because he has captivated that party, and
Yeah.
they are like some true ride or die. We riding or dying, and it's literally they are riding and dying
Yeah.
for Trump. And it's been such an interesting thing to watch how so many of them did not like Trump. I mean, bash this man
Big time.
like just big time, saying how he was an idiot, that he's incompetent, he's all these things, and now it's like y'all got y'all heads so far up his ass. It's like,
Crazy. Crazy.
yes, Trump, no Trump. What you need me to do, Trump? Like, I mean, especially one that really gets on my nerves is Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Ted, this Trump then talked about your wife like a damn dog.
I think that's what he called
I
her.
don't know how. I mean, he didn't talk about your wife. And I don't see how any man can let another man talk about his wife and you will go to war for Trump.
Support
And
him.
it's so dangerous to see that deep down they know they hate Trump.
Yeah.
I do believe that they hate him, but they know that since he has, you know,
Activated, like
really,
you said.
you know, captivated the now, um, they know they need those numbers
Yeah.
and they're willing to basically sell their soul for a vote, you know, for them to stay in office. And I really hope, I know there's like, I don't know how far it's gotten about term limits, but I am a huge supporter of term limits when it comes to being a senator, when it comes to being a congressman, because a lot of them needs to go. Um,
Yeah. I
I do
agree.
not think, you know, people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and the what's the other one? That oh God, I can't
Like
remember his name right
under the
now.
Democratic side.
No, Republican.
Oh,
He be up there with
McCarthy.
Mitch. All the ones that those 20 plus years, 30 plus years as a state congressman, it's like, no, it's time for you to go.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's time for it's
You're
time
right.
for you to go. If the president can't serve more than 2 terms, y'all shouldn't be able to serve more than 2 terms.
Yeah, but then
That's
that's
just
even the
my
Supreme Court too, Shay. Right? I mean,
right. And
I don't agree
yeah,
with that
I
either.
don't believe that they should have lifetime appointments.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. I just no, and then with even with the Supreme Court, it seems like, oh, we got to have like three, you know, quote unquote Republicans, or three liberals, three conservatives, and then we have a swing vote. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, I feel like judges are supposed to be, they're not supposed to be biased towards anything. Again, that
Yeah.
fairness. And, even again, we won't know until next summer, but even the whole abortion rights is up on the table
Yeah.
right now. And we'll get into that on a different date. But just, there's just a lot of things, a lot of scary things
Yeah.
going on. And you would think, I remember when Trump first got in office, and I would think, what's it going to take to open some people's eyes?
Yeah.
And the insurrection wasn't even enough. Like I remember watching that unfold, and I'm like, they didn't really broke into the Capitol. Like
Broke in.
this is like treason. Like this is like literally like stuff that you would see in a movie.
And they still
Like
got away
they
with it.
really,
Getting away with it.
really did this.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly agree with so many people who said if this was a Black Lives Matter protest, this would have ended so much differently.
Oh, absolutely. We
It
would
would
have
have
been
been
dead, shot right there
dead
on the floor.
watching all of this
Yeah.
unfold
Yeah. And they would have
and
faced no
seeing
prosecution. Absolutely.
no prosecution. And I don't understand. And this is how, and this is what I mean by scary, is that at the time, Vice President Mike Pence, they were coming for you. They
They were
were
gonna hang
coming
you.
to hang you
Yeah.
because you didn't do your part. And after it all, you're still like,
Still
go
behind
Trump.
it. But you know
That's
why,
just like,
Shay? I was gonna say, but you know why that is? It's that hold that you said that Trump had on the party, but really, it's deeper than that. In this country, there has always been this violence and this subjugation. I feel like for you to believe that America is just America, and black people, people of color, just don't deserve as much rights. I mean, we were not even part of being a U.S. citizen, for a long time. So you said that something that really stuck out to me is just that the hold that Trump had on the party, but it's the hold
yeah,
that's already here in the country. And the fact of about it is it's running away from them. Trump can't keep this mob smoltered. You can't keep it down. You're basically watering a fire with gasoline, and then you're not going to be able to stop it. And so we already saw that on January 6th. And what is it going to be to stop the next January 6th from happening in 2024 and it actually succeeding this time? I mean, people, me and Shay are very serious. We are so close to losing our republic. And you can say what you want to say about this country, but for things to be reversed back to years when there was Jim Crow or slavery or things like that, you don't ever underestimate what these people will do to you if they get the
Exactly.
chance to do it. So this is serious. Voting is important. Being involved and engaged with your politicians and people, local, statewide, federal. These things are important. Coming into these lives with us and having conversation and interacting with us is important, because if we're not talking about it, then nothing is going to happen. And in the background,
Exactly.
they're just going to get away with it. And the next thing you know, our rights are gone. And they have the right to come in and do whatever they want to do to you. And you think you have the, I'm tough, I got guns. You don't have shit compared to what these people have. These are
Exactly.
military grade weapons. You don't have rocket launchers and M16s by the truckload. People, we don't want a civil war happening, but the extremism in this country is rising, and there's just no in between. And that's really the problem that we have right now in this country, is that democracy is failing because there's too many right hand people that's too far right and too many left hand people that's too far left.
Exactly.
And then no one is coming to the middle and saying, hey, even though I have this view, this is where my principles and values are that I stand by. And these are things that I can probably, wiggle room with. But we have to take care of people. We have to take care of our democracy. And right now it's failing.
Right. And as you were saying that, it just made me think, we talk about, we have the right, and then we have the left, and then we have, and I feel like, when it made me think when people say our founding
Yeah.
fathers, and then I think about our founding fathers and their beliefs and the things that they had going on. Totally makes sense how there's so many people feel entitled that you need to believe our way.
Yeah.
Like, this is the way because this is how the founding fathers wanted it to be. And we forget
Yeah.
that during those times, people like us was not included. It was never a one day when Black people are free
Yeah.
and they are equal to us, that these rights and all these things will be allotted to them too.
Yeah.
It has always been about, white people, and that's just the facts. That's just what it is, and I think, we as Black and brown people, and even including the LGBTQ community, is like we're trying to fit into a system
Yeah.
that was never originally designed for us.
Yes.
It was never originally designed for us, and we're trying to get a seat at the table, right? And say, me too, like these, and try to fit these rights that was for them onto us. And it's just been a struggle and a fight ever since. And and I'm thankful for the progress we have made over the years, because I can't imagine being the year of 2021 and still being not able even to vote.
Right.
Like, could you imagine 2021 right now of Black people not being able to vote?
Right.
Black people still getting, Black people are still getting killed in the streets, but it's not as as I would say open. And I really feel like a lot of people want to say that it is Trump who is put us where we are right now. I think Trump was just a kind of like the
A catalyst.
trigger
A
to
catalyst.
really set off the heartbeat of this nation. We as Black people already know what was happening. We already knew.
Yeah.
The world has the country has been like this.
Yeah.
It's like now it's so in our face with social media, and people are feeling more comfortable in their skin
Yeah.
to really say everything outside of white power.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we're seeing it in, like I said, we see it in the way of legislation.
Yeah.
And like Josh said, like it goes deeper than the general election. It goes to, what I'm saying, from the people, from your city councilmen to judges that are actually voted in, that are appointed by the people, people as far as like district attorneys, these lawmakers for your states. Like, prime example, the case is that, I don't know if that was Utah or Colorado, with the trucker who got 110
Oh
years
yeah.
for the accident. I don't know if you guys have. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of that, but if you have not, his really quick, his he was new driving 18 wheelers, and his brakes failed. He didn't do anything to kind of prevent crashing into these cars, and so I think he ended up killing. He caused like a 20 plus car pileup on the
Killing
highway. I think
three.
he killed 4 people and
Oh yeah.
injured some people,
Yeah.
and he got a total of 110 years.
Yeah.
And the judge in this case, he basically said, he didn't say these words, but basically was saying, my hands are tied, like, because of the law,
Yeah.
I have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And if we had the right people in office, who can kind of like overturn these crazy laws, or actually get people out to vote, when there's people saying like, we want to get this legislation changed, I'm saying, and really just do our due diligence, and really look up, like, okay, what is this about? That judge would have been able to, he would have been able to do what he knew was right.
Yeah.
And thankfully now, there's been so many petitions and um just so many spotlight on his case, that now they're reconsidering the years that he's about to get. But like, just even in that state, the way it was set up for them to give him, he had to do the minimum of each count,
Yeah.
and then they had
The
to
mandatory
run,
minimum. Yeah.
yeah, consecutively. And
Yeah.
so that's how it ended up to the 110 years. And so it's so important that we, saying, we can prevent things like this from happening, and really supporting. And I'm not saying that you have to go and, be out on the streets and going door to door. I remember when I was working for the Obama campaign, when he first ran in Kansas City, I liked doing that. I liked
Yeah.
going and, campaigning and stuff like that. That was cool. You don't have to do that. But, just spend a little 5, 10, 15 minutes on the internet, seeing the people that's running, getting a little feel about what they support, what, even not even the people, even some of these bills that, that we actually have a voice to vote in, and just, telling a friend, just getting informed and educated, so that, so we don't have to see these things happening, and that we actually can bring some sort of change,
Yeah.
within our cities and our states and within this country.
Yeah. No, Shay, you hit it right on the head. I mean, the fact that he's going to do 110 years, and I don't know if there's going to be any leniency on the I don't know how that will happen. The only way that would happen is maybe if they went to like the Supreme Court or something. But what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to have governor of what's it, Colorado,
Hmm.
give commuted sentence, which he could do.
Yeah.
So if the governor jumps in, which he may or may not, if you can think about it from the judge perspective, like those people that lost their lives, he's going to be hearing from their family and the people that support them, and then he's going to be hearing from others too. But 110 years for accident is something that I'm not comfortable with. We want to talk about people that should be going to jail. That's fine. Kyle Rittenhouse needs to go to jail, but he didn't.
And so him
But
doing a fucking press tour at a
but
church.
and being a rock star. But this guy, Hispanic, I think, population of still a person of color, getting 110 years for accidents, and you can see the emotion in his face on the trial, that he was devastated by this, and so now he has to spend the rest of his life in jail. I mean, even if he died and came back, he's gonna be doing some years, so that's even messed up.
Right.
Uh, so hopefully the governor does something, but we'll see. We'll see.
I think the governor in this case may get into it. I know the prosecution is
Yeah.
revisiting all of this, so hopefully with the help of the prosecution, governor, I would say the government,
Yeah.
but the governor can get involved and see what he can do about, commuting his sentence, or, I mean, if he has to serve jail time, it's not 110 years. I don't think he should even serve 20 years. I don't know if he should even
Yeah.
serve 10 years. Because it was just as one of those tragic accidents. I think the family should definitely sue the company,
Yeah.
and that he worked for, but and get some sort of compensation from that. But I do agree that I watched a little bit of his sentencing, and it was just tragic, because you can just see, like, he was scared,
Yeah.
he didn't know what to do, and it's just like, and I was even seeing people trying to make the argument compared for him and the Kim Potter trial, and I'm like, no, 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 no,
No.
no.
No. No.
Let's not even go
Yeah.
there. Don't even go there with me.
Yeah.
Let's just not. But like you said, hopefully they will be able to commute a sentence, and we'll just have to kind of keep you updated with that, guys. But
Yeah.
we have reached our hour. That has gone by so fast.
It has. It has. And it was great. It was great.
It
And
was
this is
so
our
much
first time.
fun.
So,
First time on live. I like doing the live thing.
yeah.
We're definitely going to have this on our podcast. That's going to be, that's via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or Anchor. But I do like doing it live, so then I can interact with people, or people can comment and all those fun things.
Yeah. And this is our
But
first
yeah, this
time.
was great.
We'll get
Really
it
great.
right. We'll improve each time. We appreciate people joining. Support.
Yes.
Something that we have to say is just that there isn't really a lot of support when it comes to Black things, and even in our own self. So this is not to a message to anyone else, but we have to support our own. So I am going to do the same and try to support more people of color, just so if I support everyone else. But I want to highlight that we're Black voices, Black creators, Black people that really just care for you, and we want the best for all of us. And so join us next time. Thank you so much.
Yes. Good. Great job, Josh. You did great.
We
The
all did. Yes,
nerve
we did.
subdued. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great night.
Peace.
Merry Christmas to all of you guys who celebrate Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. I have here recently, in the last 2 years, I'm celebrating Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
So happy Kwanzaa. Have a happy holidays. And for all of those of you who couldn't catch a live tonight, you can definitely will have the podcast uploaded hopefully over the weekend, and we'll see you next time. So have a great night, guys.
Bye, everyone.